Okay, so now we have the blades surface ground, cleaned up, prep work all done. They're ready for heat treat. I have a even heat that I'll be heat treating these in. That's a little controller for it. I just got a little cart to roll around, and I bolted up. It's actually a small hog tray. You get at Tractor Supply. I just bolted it on there. And I have a little bit of metal rods on the bottom of it. Because I ran into quenching it and then kind of burning the bottom and getting some plastic, melted plastic on the blade. So I got some metal rods on the bottom to stop that from happening. I already have the blades placed inside the kiln. I got a chef knife and then my little hunter's knife that I'm making in there. I got the blade up and about in the center of the kiln, right at where the thermocoupler is at. So we should get an accurate reading of it. I have it programmed. Maybe I think I can recall it so you can see it. Yeah, so program 1. No, that's not going to do it. Oh, it's view. Alright, so it's one segment, and it's going to ramp up as fast as it can go at 1480 and hold for 1 hour. Right now we're at 87 degrees Fahrenheit, so it will take quite a while to get that up to temperature. So we'll go ahead and start this now. And I should hear it click in the relay. There it is. Alright. Now the recipe for this, you want to get the oil to about 150 degrees Fahrenheit. What I've been doing, I have a temperature reader that I also measure it with, but I know once I get to about 10 minutes, I take a propane torch and I just start heating up this rod. I just keep dumping it, just getting that oil nice and warm. I've done it enough times and I know at 10 minutes I just keep on doing it. It gets pretty close to there, but I will measure it. Alright, so we'll let that go ahead and get up to temperature and come back and pull it out. Alright, so now our kiln has just reached up to temperature. Been there for about 4 minutes, and I've been heating up the oil. Right now we're at like 157, 158 degrees. That's near enough for me. Go ahead and pull this out. One thing, whenever you do go to quench, you want to go out of the oven and your quench as fast as you can. And once you set it in, blade in first, your cutting edge in first, then you want to make motions going straight forward and straight back. You don't want to go side to side because the metal's still hot and you have a better chance of warping it that way. The only reason you're moving it is so you keep that oil circulating, because obviously around the knife is going to be hotter than it is on the other side of your tank. If you have a big one like mine. If not, you probably don't have to worry about it. Go ahead and pull this out. Your lady's gonna kill me with all the smoke. Still have another knife in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that back up to temperature. Now while it's still hot like this, you want to go ahead and look down the blade for any warpage. This is the one I was worried about because it's so thin. I don't see any warpage going on. So that is awesome. I'll go ahead and let that one get back up to temperature. I'm just going to let this cool down a little bit, and I'll take Scotch Brite just to kind of clean up all the slag and everything, get it ready for tempering. Alright, just to show you what we got, I've just got some of the oil off and set it here. I haven't cleaned anything off, but this is kind of what you can expect to see. It basically took just the first coat, or a very thin layer of the steel off whenever you quench it. You know, it's that hot. Well, the second one's ready to go. Alright guys, so we just pulled the blade out of the oven. We tempered it at 400 degrees for 1 hour. The other blade, I'm going to go ahead and do a double temper on it. But unfortunately, my Rockwell hardness tester is just crapped out on me. That's the one I've been using, and something with the shaft just came apart. I have to fix that, but I'll go back to how I used to do it. You got hardness tester files. They're not real expensive, but they are really good. Unfortunately with these, that you don't get an exact number of what it is, but you can kind of ballpark it where it's between. So for me, for this is going to do just fine. We're going to go ahead and start off with 50, HRC 50. So that's what the file is hardened at, and it should just skate across it, and you'll hear it without digging in or anything. Let's see if I can get in position to do this. You hear that just sliding across. So that's telling us that it's harder than 50. Alright, so we'll go to 55. Sliding right across it. So that's good. We're at least getting closer to the range where we want to be. Alright, here's 60. I'm sure you can see it. Yep. We'll see if this slides across. Oop. Can you see it? Yep. I don't know if you can hear that. Alright, so it's just biting there. Oh yeah. Okay, so at 60, it's just biting. So that tells me that the steel is softer than 60. It is not completely biting into it, so we might be pretty close to 60 or just over 60. Somewhere in there, but that's good enough for me. So that is the heat treat and temper done to it. After you get done tempering, you'll get all these colors. This is kind of a brownish straw color. Yeah, you can see it right in there. The pattern on this is going to look really, really cool, I think. But now we're going to go back to surface grinding. Go ahead and get all that scale off. Like I said before, we're not going to use the surface grinder attachment. We're going to use the flat platen, just so I can constantly dip in water. We do not want to overheat this. Definitely a recommendation for this. Now that we're in hardened steel, always, always, always brand new belts. I've ruined a few blades, a few tips grinding, buying the belts at $8 a piece, You know, I'm thinking I'm never throwing these things away. These are way too much money. That's just not the case. They cost way too much money in steel and time when you could just use a brand new belt. So my philosophy is if it's not sparking, throw it away. And you'll see a used belt compared to a new belt. New belt is just throwing sparks. Obviously, used one won't. So if you lose your spark, throw it away. So we'll go ahead and set up to surface grind this. Alright, so we're set up on the flat platen. Got a brand new 60 grit belt. I'm going to go ahead and start removing all this slag and oxidization off of it. One thing I forgot to show, I did end up messing up on this blade when I was surface grinding it. See right there. It looks like a lot because there's a lot of junk in there, but I mean, it's definitely not ideal. I didn't track the belt on a few passes, and I kept digging into it. So I went back and surface ground some more. I'm just afraid now that I'm going to get it too thin. So I'm just going to have to live with that, which is not a big deal. It's going to be underneath the handle. Shouldn't be a problem. But that's obviously going to stand out like a sore thumb once we surface grind this all off. But we'll go ahead and jump into it. Go ahead and get this done. One side of it. I'll go back and by hand go ahead and get it all nice and clean before we start grinding. But all that's going to be taken away anyways. Now we'll go ahead and start on this side. Alright, so here we are with the finished heat treated blade, or blank at this point. I've gone ahead and hand sanded this down even some more. Obviously you can still see some of the patterns from the heat treat bringing it out. It is smooth, but that's no big deal. That's all coming off anyways. All part of the process. But after you get finished heat treating and temper, one thing you really want to pay attention to once you get your surface ground done, you get all the slag off, is to go back and check for any cracks anywhere in the blade. Main points is going to be at any 90s that you have, any sharp points here and here, and your holes. Obviously you want to check over the whole blade, but pay more attention in those parts there. I've checked over this one and I've seen no problems at all. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to start grinding it out, start putting the primary bevel on. That'll probably be end of one part of these videos. That'll be the heat treating completed.